When you look at Shane Beamer's first season, I know you've got the schedule here, of course. We all know the schedule at this point. It sets up very well in the first half for South Carolina. There are some games early on. I think the Gamecocks have to win to get to a bowl game. I've already said, Brett, that the game week 2 at East Carolina, that's actually my most important game of the year. That's one that South Carolina, to get the 6 wins, they absolutely have to win. You've got swing games early in Kentucky, at Tennessee. You look at that game at Missouri. You look at that game against Auburn late in the season. Some great opportunities for Carolina football, I think, to get to a bowl game in Shane Beamer's first year. But when you look at this football team overall, because there is talent on this roster, but again, I would say there are certainly holes and deficiencies. How do you look at this team? What are realistic first-year expectations for you, and how do you project? I won't ask you to pinpoint a record, but how do you project his first year going in Columbia?
Yeah, well, I think there's still some distance between competing for the East title. I think Georgia has really asserted themselves as a playoff contender this year. Florida, of course, was top 10 and one of the best offenses last year. So those two are kind of 1 and 2 and a pretty sizable gap. From there, I like what Kentucky has. They're a very proven commodity now with I almost called him Bob Stoops, with Mike Stoops. The way that they built up this power running attack, and this offensive line keeps reloading. I like them at 3. Then, from 4, 5, and 6, that's kind of wide open, to be honest. I think that I ended up putting Missouri 4th. I liked that they had some continuity with their coach, a second-year bonus with Drinkowitz, enough talent across the way. But really came down to a 5th versus 6th debate for me between South Carolina and Tennessee in the East. And I sided with South Carolina. I put South Carolina 5th there. I liked what they had on paper compared to what Tennessee has. I think the transition that Beamer's undertaking, I think, will be a little bit more seamless, a little bit easier of a transition than what Tennessee's trying to do. Total revamp of their offense. I mean, I'm talking going from that really old-fashioned style to the UCF hyper-tempo system. I don't know if that's going to translate. Plus, so many of their star players transferred out. 26 roster guys transferred out. 26 scholarship guys. I mean, the most we've seen ever in a cycle. So Tennessee's going through a massive transition. So I like South Carolina right there in the middle of the pack of the East. And you're right. The way the schedule unfolds, there's some winnable games in the first half. A very, very decent shot at going 5-2 to open it up, heading down to Texas A&M and in their 8th game. The FCS game, of course, you win that one. I'll be honest, I don't know much about East Carolina. I don't include the AAC in my book. I know that they always play some teams tough down there, but I assume you'll win that one. So 2-0, and then you're talking Georgia, Kentucky. I think that's probably 2 losses this year. But here's the important part. This early October, if you can take care of Troy and Vanderbilt and win that swing game at Tennessee, you're talking about a 5-2 start to the year. That's as an SEC team, 5-2, you're almost in that others receiving votes category, and you're starting to get some perception. College football is so much driven by perception. If you can carry that 5-2 record there into November, that'd be pretty important. So down the stretch, A&M and Florida will be tough. Clemson obviously will be tough too. And a couple other swing games, Missouri and Auburn, those are up for grabs. Auburn in another coaching transition year, just like you guys are in. I have them towards the bottom of the West Division, albeit a very talented division. So, I mean, I see it. You're right on the head with 6. I mean, I see 4 guaranteed wins. I see 5 pretty much lock losses right now. And the 3 swing games would be Tennessee, Missouri, Auburn. You win 2 of those, you're bowling. So that's how I see it shaking out. But high enough to strike up to 4th, I think, in the SEC East.